it's Shelby with Owlbeteen. This week I'm going to show you some basic and beginner's makeup tutorial. This has been requested a couple of times, so I thought I'd go ahead and share it with you. I will warn you, I am not very good at makeup, so this is probably the only makeup tutorial I'm going to have. I'm not that great at it, so let's go ahead and see this tutorial. The first makeup tutorial I'm going to show you today is just a beginner, so very simple. Most of the products that I'm using are e.l.f. because e.l.f. seems to be the cheapest and best for beginners. The first thing I'm going to start off with is mascara or curling the eyelashes. This beginner's makeup is for those who aren't allowed to wear makeup or just starting. So a good tip is just to curl your eyelashes, or if you're comfortable with mascara, I have a few mascaras that I found that are great for beginners. It is the CoverGirl Lash Blast Fusion, and this one's pretty similar. It is the Lash Blast Length, and I'll show you kind of what this looks like. I like these ones because they don't clump your eyes very well, and so that's good for beginners because most beginners don't wear lots of clumpy mascara. And you also want to use brown mascara because that is not as bright as the black mascara. So the first thing I'm going to do is curl my eyelashes. And that does pretty good with my eyelashes. Sometimes I don't even need to put mascara on. I'm going to use my Lash Blast Fusion. Helps if I say this mascara right. And I kind of just shake it a little bit just to add on top of it. And blend it and brush it because these bristles are really nice, and brush your eyelashes. And then my bottoms, I normally use the Lash Blast Length because it's a little bit skinnier. Sorry, I can't put my mascara on without opening my mouth. So very simple, but just brightens up your eyes just a little tiny bit. Then the next thing I'm going to do is just add a little blush because you just sometimes need a little pink in your cheeks. I have a little sunburn, so my cheeks are already a little pink, but normally you would add a little blush. And when you pat it, you definitely want to blow on it so that it's nice and soft. And then you pat and go upwards. So you go towards your eyes and your forehead. You never just pat right here. You always want to go up like this to the corners. And I'm mixing mine a little bit with bronzer, just to add a little sparkle and darken it up a little bit. Like that. And then the last thing I'm going to do to complete this is I'm going to take some chapstick and just add on some chapstick. And there you have a beginner's makeup. This makeup tutorial is just a basic. It's something that I wear every day, and then I add a little bit more on for my videos. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you that. Alright, the first thing that I start off with is a moisturizer or lotion for my face because my face gets really dry, so that's important to do before you put on your makeup. Alright, the next thing that I do is I take my Maybelline BB cream. This stuff is really nice because I like it so much better than foundation or any of that kind of stuff because it's very thin and just lightly covers everything up without looking like you have a lot of makeup. This is seriously my most favorite thing ever. So I just dab a little bit on my fingers. Normally I put it underneath my eye, kind of make like a triangle shape. Under my eye, and I always put some underneath my nose. And on my eyelids. And sometimes if I have acne down here, I'll put a little bit on my chin. But this stuff, a little bit goes a long way. And then I just rub it in with my fingers. But if you're a very fancy beginner, you can use a beauty blender. Alright, the next thing I do is I take some concealer and I just dab off a little bit so I don't get too much on my face, and I do the same thing. I make kind of like a little triangle under my eyes and on my eyelids and on my nose. And when I'm all finished with that, I take my blush, and I'm using e.l.f. blush. This one also has bronzer as before, so I just take that and I start from my cheeks and up. And most of the time I just leave it like this, but sometimes it kind of doesn't even out very good. So I just take a plain powder. I mean, anything works. I'm just using an Ulta, but e.l.f. or anything that you guys have works perfectly. And I just kind of use that to blend everything together. Now I'm going to take my eyelash curler and curl my eyelashes. And I showed you the mascara that I normally use, the brown, and that's mostly for an everyday. But when I am doing videos or I'm going out somewhere, I normally use the Mega Flame Up Mega Curl, and this is also Cover Curl. I believe this is the Catching Fire style or brand. So I use that, and this one's black. So this one's a lot darker and adds a little bit more clumpiness than the other ones do. And again, I kind of wiggle and brush up. And then I take my CoverGirl Lash Blast Length on my bottoms. And sometimes it takes a little practice to get your bottoms down, because I know a lot of people, it makes their eyes water. So if you're not comfortable with that, you don't even have to put them on the bottoms. And then I either take some chapstick or some lipstick to complete off my look. Another tip, if you're going to use mascara, eyeshadow, which I normally put on for special occasions, I recommend this e.l.f. kind of booklet thing. It has just a perfect amount of basic brushes there for you. You can buy e.l.f. brushes individually, but I like this pack because it had most of the beginner ones all in one little pack. So I recommend this if you're going to use eyeshadow. Hope this helps out some of you beginners who are just starting to wear makeup and some of the products that maybe you guys could use. Make sure that you tune in for my next week's video and subscribe. Thanks guys again for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!